Well, we have a special guest in the studio today. We are joined by Mr. Jack Frisch, the owner of Upright Transport and Upright Graphics. Jack, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Brian.
So now, what many people may not know about you is you actually also play bass guitar.
Self-taught.
Right, but listen, you still play a little upright and you play left-handed electric bass, right?
Yeah, lefty, which is, well, years ago it was a lot more difficult to be a left-handed musician, whether you bass or guitar.
Your bass playing and your interest in jazz music have combined, and you have Upright Transport.
Yeah.
Now, this is really interesting business. Tell me what you do with Upright
Well,
Transport.
the name for both came from the fact that I was lucky to come across and buy an upright bass, a 1947 K bass, and it sat at the end of my desk, my working area for years. And early on, I was thinking one day, what could I call the company? So I came up with Upright, because bass, the love of bass was really what's got me drawn into music. What it is a service where I cater to musicians who need to get the gear to either a maintenance or repair shop in case of uprights, or they need to get to a gig, or they need to get to a recording session. I kind of set it up where it's real intimate and kind of a specialized service, unlike just me arriving in a beat-up van and throwing the equipment in and going to the gig and unloading it. It's a little more hands-on and personable. For example, I work for Mike Stern. I'll handle getting Mike to recording sessions, live performances, festivals, gigs all around the New York, New Jersey, Connecticut area or further. And I'll help him with his gear. I'll help set up the gear and kind of be a full-blown golf caddy, as I call it, for a musician, where I help with getting water or whatever it's needed, whatever that artist needs. And I've built a unique niche with that. I'm doing that currently for Mike, Lenny White, the drummer, but it started with Hiram Bullock, Willie, and Marcus Miller many years ago.
Well, that's an interesting aspect about your knowledge and connection to the artist, because that's so valuable to their instrument and their sound, and that you can be so connected to it, and that feedback's really part of your business.
Yeah, it's been quite magical, say, with when I originally did it for Hiram Bullock years ago, and then with Mike Stern, to have the trust of a player of his caliber, whether it's Mike, Lenny White, or anyone else. It's a great honor. It's a great responsibility to be able to say, oh, hey guys, the trumpet's too loud. Got to bring that down and so forth, and try to do a mix while they're rehearsing.
So listen, I can't let you go from the interview chair without asking you about the late great, Jaco Pastorius. Because you've had some connection with him from back in the village. Tell me that story.
I went to see Jaco Pastorius do a demonstration, like a workshop clinic for a new bass called the Guild Pilot bass and the Harkey Melcone speakers.
Wow.
$5, it turned into like 2 hours of playing. All these players came out and demonstrated the bass, the Guild bass. Jaco came out last, and it was unbelievable. I looked up, I was like in the third row. I was at a place called the New York Jazz Coalition. And I left there knowing I wanted to listen to jazz. I wanted to learn how to play fretless bass. And that weekend, or the next week, I'm in the city buying up all of Jaco's albums, whatever I could find. And I got Twins 1. I put it in the bag with everything else. My friend and I leave. We turn a corner. This is Golden Disc Records, a couple doors in from 6th Avenue. And we walk down, we make a left. We're going up now to another shop on 6th Avenue. And where the Waverly Deli used to be is now the IFC Theater. Yeah. There's Jaco sitting in the doorway with a black eye, which I later found out was from basketball playing. Must have got hit with the ball. And I stopped. I said, Jaco? And he got up, and he was really tall. I said, hey, man, what you doing? And I only seen him a week earlier, if anything. I said, and my friend's standing there. He doesn't know what's going on. I said, I've been buying up your albums all day. And he literally goes, come on, let's go show off. He grabs my yellow J&R music bag and darts into 6th Avenue. Traffic's going everywhere. He's weaving around, and that was a sight to see. And he went into the basketball courts.
This is right by the West 4th basketball courts, not far
exactly.
from Blue Note.
Jaco went in. My buddy goes, who's that? I said, that's him, the guy we're buying all records. Let's go. We're trying to cross the street. Jaco's already in the basketball courts, and cellophane's flying because he's already opening in the albums. It was incredible. So he looks up at my friend. He goes, what's your name? He goes, Steve. And he takes out Twins 1, which is a white album, a lot of credits on it, logo for New York's Jazz Festival on the cover. Jaco just starts writing with a pen. Thank God there was a pen around in the basketball courts.
Well,
And he starts writing, "Yo, Steve, Jaco," and he writes in Japanese. Now, this is why so many people say he didn't have it together. Yeah, he had some issues going on in his life, but he's writing in Japanese. He goes, "You know what that means? That means domo arigato," you know. And then on the back, he just wrote Jaco. He wrote all over that album. Then he turns to me and goes, "What's your name?" And he goes, "Jack." He takes out the inner sleeve of Word of Mouth. There's a beautiful photo of
Solo
Jaco
album, right?
at the piano. He's got a cool blue and I think reddish sweater on. My favorite part, he's got a pencil tucked in his ear like he's composing. He's composing.
Yeah.
And he asks me my name. He writes in it. I always choke up at that part because it was so sweet. What really was sweet was what he did seconds later. "Yo, Jaco." And then he looks at my friend and I. And we look down and he goes, "You guys know how to get home from here?" I said, "Yeah, we do this every weekend. We're cool." That part still resonates for me because here's a guy, so much has been written about all this, and you got to have a heart to be good with to turn around two young kids and go, "You guys know how to get home from here?" No, who does that? He did it.
He cared.
Yeah, so that was fun. So I would go back to the basketball courts on different occasions to see if he was there. And one time I went back, and he was behind a fence, and I went up and I started singing "Come On, Come Over," the vocal tune from his first solo album, and he sang along with me. And I look back at it now like, my God, it was like a moment in time.
Yeah.
And here's this guy who became a legend. So
That's right.
really, he was a legend then.
Broke the mold. Yeah.
And I got to meet him. And because of falling in love with his music, it led me to here right now with you. I mean, I've been fortunate to have met his sons and people close to him, his wife, Ingrid, the late Ingrid Pastorius, and so many people played with him. And everybody misses him dearly, you know. I wish I would have had more time to become friends with him, you know. So that's a Jaco Pastorius. And I got to see him at Lone Star Cafe on my 21st birthday, which was a lot of fun.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I hung out in the backstage with him and Hiram McKenwood. Even took a photo with them, but I had an old Instamatic 110 camera. Who knows where that film went? But I got the photo in here, you know.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, so that was fun meeting him.
Well, we all wish we had more time with him because in the 80s, of course, he, in Florida, I believe, he got beat up and died from his injuries.
He was murdered. But, you know, the one thing people need to, you know, that doesn't come across all the time is he still had his chops. He still could play.
Yeah.
I mean, for someone like me and my generation, he got a lot of people from my generation, age-wise, into jazz.
Sure.
I got into big band music because of Jaco Pastorius. I got into Gil Evans' band because of Jaco Pastorius. And so there's a lot there I think people are still figuring out and is still beginning to appreciate with him. But yeah, I was very fortunate to meet Jaco.
Jack Frisch, thanks for joining me.
Thank you.